up, everyone? Welcome to Iceman and Coach, a little bonus edition. We got Mike here, and we are going to talk about purely the NFL, something Brad and I haven't talked about before. So, Mike, first of all, welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be back. Glad we finally found time to get together and do this.
Well, it's not as if the football season isn't super long for us to be able to do this.
True.
And we are, 7 games in? And I don't know about you. I know nothing.
Yeah, it's one of those years where it's hard to tell. There's true parity in the league this year, it feels like, because every week I feel like I know something and then it comes back and someone loses a big game to somebody else, and it's hard to track. I don't know.
Do we say that every year? Is parity something that we just lump onto general lack of knowledge?
I don't think so, man. Because I feel like in past years we had some ideas, and I feel like some of those ideas came pretty clear throughout. They kind of followed a pattern, and we were pretty good with it. I think a lot of people are that way. I think it's across the board. A lot of people are just a little bit unsure what's going on this year with regards to who's good and who's not.
So okay. My general theory with the NFL, and I think it shows every single week, is that the difference between the best team and the worst team is really not that much. Like the skill level from top to bottom in the league. I mean, obviously there's a huge difference between Patrick Mahomes and just name any backup quarterback. But if you look at these teams, like if the Jets trot out there, the Jets can beat any team any week because they're all professionals in some way. And so some of these results are surprising, but well, we'll get to that. But some of these results are surprising, but also it's the NFL, where it's like in college when you have an upset, the chasm between the best teams and the mid teams is so large because there's so many players. Whereas in the NFL, you've now pared it down to these guys theoretically have earned the right to be here. And I think that, to me, separates like every week when like the Titans get a win. It's like, wow, I'm not surprised. I mean, that you'd think that they could luck into it one time in 17 games.
Sure.
So that's my general theory on why parity exists so much in the NFL. But by the time we get to the end of the season, we're like, oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I mean, you could also kind of look at it from a different perspective is, you can expect, because the talent is so good, you're right, teams are going to find wins here and there. I think what's different about this year sometimes is that win is coming against a team who is clearly talented and superior and has been performing that way. And it seems like these very NFL-like wins and losses are happening. They're very college-esque to me, like almost emotional wins and losses, right? Colleges, you get these things where the big program loses to someone they're not supposed to lose to, who they've got a massive talent gap on. Now, granted, I understand the talent in the NFL is much tighter. That being said, there's a clear difference between, let's say, the Detroit Lions and the New York Jets right now.
I would say yes, but I would also, I guess if you played in 10 games, it's not crazy to think the Jets could win 1.
Maybe.
Because of the fact that they're all professionals.
Right.
But I would give it to you that the worst team in the league and the best team in the league, if you line them up a certain number of times, the best team should win a vast majority of the time, because that's kind of how just general.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it works. But I want to go through, if it's okay with you, we're going to go through every division.
Yeah.
We're going to try and do this very quickly because obviously there's a lot of teams. We could get into rabbit holes on some of these things, but we're going to start in the AFC East.
Yep.
You already mentioned the New York Jets. New head coach, new quarterback, and same results. They're 0-7 and they have not only looked bad, they've looked precipitously worse from week 1 to now. And I want to ask you, is it just normal Jets behavior? And is Aaron Glenn a one and done? Like, is he going to survive the season if they continue to look this bad?
I tell you, I don't want to say it's just the Jets, because that's unfair.
But it is.
I got it. I've said it before. Trust me, I'd say it in jest all day long. But if I were to make a true look at it, I would say it can't possibly be that year after year, decade after decade, somehow you change the personnel, you change the coaching, you change the general manager, and still you can't seem to put something together. It seems like it can't just be the Jets being the Jets. That's one thing. 2, did they... this league is dependent on great quarterback play.
Yeah.
And they haven't been getting it from Justin Fields.
No.
That hurts. Aaron Glenn's a defensive coach.
Yep.
You could have a great defense. If you have bad quarterback play, your defense is not going to be helping you anyway. But their defense hasn't been great. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been great either. So I think when you start combining that together, the Jets are just kind of a bad football team. They don't quite have the talent. I think that Glenn could survive a year. In fact, if they're smart, if the Jets are smart, they will let him survive a year and give him a chance to build a team, because you cannot make a turnaround I don't think that quickly with a franchise that's been as bad for as they have been, whose talent is where it's at. I just don't know that you can just say, "Yeah, Aaron Glenn, you're out. Find someone else." That seems unfair to me, but that's something the Jets would probably do.
The Jets strike me as, and I did a reel on this on TikTok where I hypothesized that most owners in the league, I think I've said it to you as well, are really more so in the business of making money than they are in consistent winning. I think if you look at what it takes to gain revenue in the NFL, payrolls and revenue sharing and other types of things that the NFL has that other sports leagues don't in the same way, then it almost, for some franchises, behooves them to kind of be good enough every year. But the Jets can't even get there. They can't even get that. They're just bad all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like
I think Jets fans would take good enough right now.
Yeah. I think Jets fans would take 500 every year right now. But to be this bad, and again, every year they continue to turn over. Every year they make poor decisions. They make good draft decisions that end up withering away on good teams, but also like Sauce Gardner's not as good as advertised. And Justin Fields, I mean, I get that they went all in on the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, but that to me was a gamble that didn't pay off, and they have no plan.
Right.
And that's, to me, what always separates the good franchise and the bad franchises is what's the plan? The Jets have no plan. And at 0-7, you're like, at some point, are they ever going to have a plan? And that's what I think frustrates fans the most.
Yeah. And it's going to be key for them because they're bad. And if they end up with, front of the draft or this next draft here, a plan is what's going to make the difference between them being bad again next year with maybe good players or maybe a team that can do something in the future. But I don't know.
At some point, they've got to get it right. But in order to get it right, you actually have to do something good. And they haven't proven that they can do anything good since Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
And he's not in a good place right now. So we won't even get into that.
Rough day for him.
Miami Dolphins. How is Mike McDaniel still employed?
I don't know.
They're bad.
They're not good.
Let me ask you this. So the Jets, I think, are 0-7. The Dolphins are 1-6. What team do you think has looked worse with context of what they actually have in their teams?
Oh, man.
Should the Dolphins be this bad?
No.
Right.
No, they shouldn't be this bad. Even with a Tua who I don't really believe in, I think he should be better than Justin Fields. I think that they've got the talent on that team in the Dolphins. I don't understand how they're that. It just doesn't feel like they've got something right. And we could talk about McDaniel. How does he still have a job? Perfect example, I think. We always said when he come out there, you're like, he's not very head coach like, but that's okay. Look at him win. It's a whole different style. And now they're losing. You're kind of like, he just doesn't feel very head coach like. And I hate to be that way, but it feels that way sometimes.
So I would contend that they won games they were supposed to win and lost all the games they needed to win. Their record down the stretch in the Mike McDaniel era is terrible. And I mean like November, December, games that in the NFL make or break playoff success. The one time they made it to the playoffs, I get it. It was like 8 degrees.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
But they didn't look like they knew how to play football.
They also looked, below the moment.
Yes. But now you're looking at a team with Tua who got paid a second time. So he got the generational money. He's making like, what, $50-something million a year? Is it close to 60? I don't know. For what they're getting. He also is apparently incapable of a good press conference. That seems to be the case this year, where he's calling out Cam Newton, who won an MVP, and also he's telling the media and all the players, oh, nobody comes to team meetings, which means nobody respects me, nobody respects the coach. And I would contend that you can have a coach who's soft. I say soft, but that's like a player's coach.
Player's coach, yeah.
If you have guys that are accountable.
Yeah.
But if you have the quarterback and you have a soft quarterback and a soft head coach, that's a recipe for disaster because who's keeping anybody accountable?
Yeah, because when the wheels start coming off, if you don't have a true leader out there, it's going to fall apart. And that's why a team with maybe talent like theirs looks as bad as they are.
They look really bad. They're a franchise that I would contend are I don't ever trust them. Even though if you look at their history,
right,
for a time period they were the Patriots, they were the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Nobody thinks of them that way anymore.
No.
And it's been that long since probably Dan Marino left. You could even contend during some of that time.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's been bad.
Yeah.
A team that I think has some explaining to do is the Buffalo Bills. They're 4-2. I don't know. They don't strike me as formidable because that defense is a real liability. And I really feel like last year we kind of thought you can't just say, all right, it's Josh Allen, go do your thing every week.
Right.
That's what they're doing again this year. And that has to catch up to you if you don't have real, true weapons. And if your defense is not going to be able to stop the run, you're not winning in January.
Yeah. They're a weird, they're a bit of an enigma, right? You've got a great quarterback. You've got a great running back. You've got a good running game. It feels like they're low on weapons on the outside. And the defense is questionable. And frankly, if you're going to be questionable on defense, you need to have a absolutely high-powered offense. And even then, that may not be enough. And I don't know. The Bills are one of those teams where I watch them and I go, I really think they should win. They have that talented. When you have a quarterback like that, you're like, they're going to win. But then you kind of watch them and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I trust these guys in January. I just don't know if I do.
I heard a theory that was they had the inside track to the number 1 seed, which is something that they've never had with Allen in the Mahomes era. Mm-hmm. And then they lose to the Patriots, they lose to the Falcons, and now the Chiefs have kind of caught up to them. Mm-hmm. The Ravens are bad, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
They kind of lost their window to have an advantage.
I think so.
Now, it's unrealistic to think that teams should just continually be undefeated during these stretches. Like, teams lose, as we talked about.
Yep.
But now they're sitting at 4-2, somehow second place in their division. And I feel like they lost any advantage now. Like, they may be playing again 3 weekends in a row, have to travel somewhere, and have to travel on the road, possibly not as a division winner, too.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I think is so interesting about the Bills is you look at them and we kind of give them the benefit of the doubt because Josh Allen has gotten so much better over the years. But they are not as good right now as the first place New England Patriots, which okay, so this is a surprise, I would say. Not the biggest surprise in the NFL. We're going to get to that very shortly here. But when Mike Vrabel got hired, I admittedly was skeptical because Vrabel, I wasn't sure was like the Super Bowl winning guy. He was in Tennessee, and they did go to an AFC Championship game, but we felt like that team overachieved, kind of punching above their weight.
Yeah.
And now you give him the Patriots gig, which they have the thing that's hard to get. They have the quarterback, Drake May, and they had like no other weapons. So first draft, they draft an offensive lineman, which I'm really a big fan of because Drake May needs to stand straight up if he's going to survive. And now you're looking at them and you're thinking their schedule is so easy. Drake May looks a lot better, and the defense has kind of come together, and it's like maybe Vrabel was the right fit for them after all, and I just missed it.
I think I liked Vrabel as a coach. I thought he was a great coach. I think what he never really had in Tennessee was I didn't think he ever had a legitimate starting quarterback. He had a starting quarterback. We did a legitimate top 10 quarterback
for a while. And then they drafted Malik Willis, who he very clearly didn't want. And then Will Levis sucked.
Right. So, and he still achieved pretty well with those teams, which I thought was impressive. I think you put him in the Patriots area there. His style of leadership, his style of coaching, the fact he's paired with what looks to be a good quarterback, a very good quarterback in Drake May, who's young, but he's in year 2. Year 3.
He's in year 2, and he's got McDaniels now as his offensive coordinator.
Instead of being a year 1 flash in the pan, we're looking at a year 2 guy, which means that, okay, he's having steady improvement. That's always a good thing to see from a quarterback. I think Vrabel's in a good spot. I think the Patriots are in a good spot. We'll see if they can kind of make it happen. I think it'd be overachieving this year to make a deep playoff run for the Patriots, but I think it could be one of those surprise teams that does it.
Well, there isn't really a team in the AFC that you're like, that's the team. I mean,
Chiefs.
Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt. Colts we'll get to. But this is the Patriots' schedule remaining. Browns, Falcons, Bucks, Jets, Bengals, Giants, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. There's a lot of winnable games there.
There are.
There's probably 5 out, like Dolphins they should beat, Jets they should beat, not once, but twice. So you're talking about 3 there. Bengals with Joe Flacco, you'd like to think. Browns,
I'm sure we'll talk about
Dylan Gabriel, like you should. So can they get 5 wins, which get you to 10 wins, which most likely gets you in the playoffs?
I think so.
So it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And speaking of that, the Indianapolis Colts,
man,
first place 6-1. The AFC South is so ass, and but the Colts, I think, are legitimately good.
They are, and I will take the first hit for just completely not believing that Daniel Jones could play football. And apparently he figured out how to play football in Indianapolis because he's looking decent. He's not just managing either.
No. The team has looked legitimately excellent. They're getting extremely great offensive line play.
Yep.
Which is under the radar. Now, I did a reel on TikTok talking about if Jonathan Taylor goes down, I feel like that changes the entire trajectory of the team.
It would absolutely.
I got told that that's a lazy take, but here's why.
It's really not.
Okay,
he's fantastic.
Well, because somebody says injuries always happen. Yes, they do. I didn't say injuries. I said that injury.
That's one injury that's a premier injury for that team.
Because the difference from him when he's playing the way that he's playing, which when he's healthy, which isn't always a guarantee. In his career, he's had health issues. He's a running back, wear and tear. If he goes down right now, what ends up happening is you lose that kind of production at the running back spot. And the running back right now is really helping to protect Daniel Jones, even more so than the offensive line, because the play action is so effective right now. And Daniel Jones can use his feet a little bit still.
Yeah.
So you have this sort of dual threat in the running game where Daniel Jones is also incredibly accurate, playing differently than he's ever played. But if Taylor goes down and you don't get that kind of offensive production in the running game, now you're asking Daniel Jones to essentially carry the team. That's something that we don't know that he can do long term. Right. And that was my main point. And look, Colts fans, I'm happy for you, but you're a fan and you get a little bit too caught up in the hype of your own team. Realistically, look at it. If he goes down, that team is in a lot of trouble because they're going to have to find 3 touchdowns. He's getting like 3 touchdowns every week. You're going to have to find that from somewhere else, and it ain't like Naheem Hines.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those teams too. And again, Daniel Jones is playing lights out. But can he sustain it long term over the season? Can he sustain it past more than one season? Time will tell. So they better ride the running back.
Jonathan Taylor country. Let's ride
him. Ride him.
Which yes,
ride this high while you can, Indy, because I think it's something that this is a good year for you.
But the AFC South is really bad. So the Titans have fired Brian Callahan, who had to be one of the worst head coaches in the league at that point. Cam Ward even said it, we asked. Like, he said that in a press conference, which is not wrong. The Texans are a complete enigma. I was looking at stats recently, and do you remember last year when what the hell is the quarterback? Oh, CJ Stroud went to go essentially like big brother Caleb Williams at the Monday night.
Classic.
I think he's thrown like the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions basically since that moment. So it's been, but they have really no weapons. I think that first year they had a lot of guys play ahead of schedule a little bit, and they lose last night to Seattle, who seems pretty good.
Which apparently the NFL doesn't care about anybody because they put that game on so late. I don't know that anybody watched it.
Double Monday nights are stupid. Anyway, and then the Jaguars finally showed up. They looked terrible in London.
I know.
And I don't feel like Trevor Lawrence is a bust in the sense that he's not living up to the potential that everybody said he was going to.
Right.
Generational talent, can't miss, and he's been fine. That's not what the number 1 pick in the draft is. Fine.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Not fine.
He's just not great.
So this is the Colts division to win, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Their schedule is not that difficult.
No.
They easily get to 11, 12 win territory if everybody stays healthy and they continue to play this way. That's going to win the division for sure. They may even be the number 1 seed, for Christ's sake. Like, that's how good they look.
It could happen.
And it's like, this division is so bad, the Colts at this point have no excuse. So the AFC South sucks, which I always say. AFC North, the Ravens are bad because they're so hurt. And if Lamar's not going to play, they have no chance. But I want to ask you, is it one of the worst organizational decisions ever to have Cooper Rush back up Lamar Jackson? Because if there are two polar opposites in literally every way, personality, look, football, that's it. And so I don't understand that move outside of, well, he's a veteran, but their offensive strategy cannot accommodate a quarterback like him.
It just doesn't work. I think, as many times I've called out a team, like there will be plenty of teams that will not take a certain type of quarterback as their backup because it doesn't fit within the system of what their offensive system is. And so if you lose your primary quarterback and your backup quarterback comes in and that person is unable to play that system as well, it makes a difference. So when I saw a Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore team go to a Cooper Rush, who I'm very familiar with.
I was going to say, you
fan.
have a little bit of experience with Cooper Rush.
I was flabbergasted because I'm like, if you do lose Lamar Jackson, which has happened like more often than it doesn't, at least for a couple games every year, you're going to lose him for a couple games. You lose him, and you're putting in Cooper Rush. He is not in any way the same level of talent or even basic skill levels that Lamar Jackson has. So it's hard to translate that game.
Well,
it's no surprise to me that they're having trouble right
now. The
now.
Ravens redid their entire offensive strategy to cater toward the ridiculous talent that Lamar Jackson is.
As you should.
Like, I understand that no backup quarterback can do what Lamar Jackson does.
Correct.
But when you have made your offensive identity around him, which I also have to say, Lamar Jackson has become a legitimately good pocket passer.
Yeah.
Right? He's not just a mobile guy who throws it sometimes. Like,
yeah, totally.
To the detriment of the team at times, he keeps the ball way too much. Right? They've somehow figured that out. But when he gets hurt, you want a guy who can come in here and do something similar.
Correct.
You're talking about like a Mitch Trubisky type who has some wheels.
Sure.
Daniel Jones would have been a great backup, which obviously he's a starter now, but you get my point. And so I feel like the Ravens organizationally are in this weird spot because Harbaugh's been there forever. They're tight in close games. They're tight against good teams over the course of his tenure there. And I feel like we're getting to the point, similar to the Bengals, who we can now transition into as well, they're wasting his prime. And having a backup quarterback like this to not keep them in the race seems to me like organizational malpractice.
I mean, it felt. I would argue it feels like just like a really bad bet, but they sought that bet out. I don't understand it. Well, like it wasn't like they were forced into it. It was just a bad bet.
Cooper Rush made sense to back up Dak Prescott because they're not
similar style of play.
In the sense of Dak is not.
He's not a mobile quarterback.
He can move. He's not
fast.
He's not fast.
No.
Right? He can get you sometimes the yardage that you need, but you're not afraid of his legs.
Right.
Cooper Rush coming in is even slower.
Yeah. And so if you look at Dallas's offensive
it made sense.
Play calling, when Cooper Rush was the backup there, you could put Cooper Rush in that style of play, and it made total sense. He could run that offense. I'm just saying that the offensive style that the Baltimore Ravens have designed around a generational talent in Lamar Jackson is not the same type of offense that a Cooper Rush can run. It just seemed like I don't understand the choice. I understand veterans, but like, man, find a veteran who can move a little bit, because you cannot tell me that the Baltimore offense doesn't predicate itself on the quarterback being mobile.
Right. Again, when you whatever. Yeah. But the opposite of that is the Cleveland Browns, who have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. So the Browns came into the season with 5 quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, who's a Raider, I think, because I think he just had to come in recently. You had Joe Flacco, who is now a Bengal, who looked bad, but also looked 40.
Right.
So there's that. And then, of course, you have Dylan Gabriel, who's currently starting, who they drafted this year. Oh, and Shadur Sanders, who they also drafted this year. Right. So you have 2 rookie quarterbacks now on as QB1, QB2. And let's not forget the $270 million albatross who hasn't played it down in a while, Deshaun Watson. This is a disaster.
Oh, awful. I can't imagine there's any really good mentorship going on in that quarterback room at all.
Brad brought that up actually recently, that he said that if you have your backup quarterback almost never can be like the super hungry guy.
Right.
Because you need the backup quarterback to do exactly that, to be like the vibe check for the team and be like the nice guy. Now you have a rookie who's playing in front of a rookie who that rookie thinks that he can do better than, like this is this whole disastrous idea. Yeah. And it's like,
and I guarantee you that Deshaun Watson doesn't give a hell.
He's not in the facility at all. Like, there's no way
about mentoring either of those guys.
And honestly, why would you want to? Remember, you bald freak. You said that he was a shitty human being, and somehow that seems to be the right move. Yeah. He also can't play football, which you said, and he's looked terrible.
Not look good.
And they're paying him every cent. So the Browns are a disaster, much like the Jets. No faith in them. The Bengals are an enigma because Joe Burrow goes down again. Which we could go down the rabbit hole of injury prone, and that's fine. But I was kind of interested that they went with Jake Browning for as long as they did, which felt like longer than 2.5 games.
It felt like forever.
Jake Browning at the beginning of the season in an ESPN ranking, which tells you everything you need to know, was ranked as the best backup quarterback in the league. And I really want receipts as to who decided that.
It shocks me.
Well, because they were like, the first game they beat Jacksonville, he did the Rex Grossman thing where it's like 3 touchdowns, 3 picks or whatever. Since then, it's just been a disaster. I was surprised that when Joe Burrow went down, that they didn't look at this team and say, okay, we've got a core here. We're a quarterback away now. Who can we ask in the league for a quarterback? Right. There had to be a guy that they could get right away. Now, I'm going to say that perhaps they did call Atlanta for Kirk Cousins and the asking price was too high, and that's fair. That's totally fair. But they settled on Joe Flacco, and I don't understand that at all. I know they just won recently, and they're 3-4, so by definition, they're still in it. But behind that offensive line, you have a 40-year-old guy. I assume it had to be because of the fact that he is a veteran. He's seen everything. He's not scared to throw into too high safety type situations.
Right.
But my goodness, that felt like a Bengals move if ever there was one.
So I think Flacco is a great move if you're talking about I may need him for 1 or 2 games.
They need him till December.
Because he's going to give you a game where he throws 5 touchdown passes.
He has to survive until Christmas.
He's a savvy veteran, but that's not what the Bengals are doing right now. They're not talking about 1 or 2 games. They have to survive till Christmas. You're right. With the 41-year-old who is fine, but who's also 41 behind an offensive line that got your starting quarterback hurt. And for a team that's just kind of middling, he's got great receivers, don't get me wrong. And I guess maybe Joe Flacco is smart enough and savvy enough to know if I just keep throwing the ball to Jamar Chase, it'll probably work out.
True.
But I have a feeling like a lot of places Joe Flacco has been after the Baltimore high years, he will have a couple great games, and he will then kind of middle back to looking like a 41-year-old quarterback.
Which is not an indictment on him at all.
Not at all.
At his age.
He is doing fantastic work. Don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco has been a great quarterback in the NFL.
He's my age for everybody out there.
I just think for the Bengals, they're putting a lot. It's a very odd decision. It's a bit, I don't know if you want to call it ultra-conservative or the Bengals, massive gamble. I don't know which one is it. I'm not really sure.
I think the Bengals are notoriously cheap in many ways, and there's a lot of stories about when they travel on the road, basically the team being like, "Don't spend too much of that per diem. Like we got to keep some costs down," which is nuts because you have a NFL franchise. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? But I think it's ultra conservative. I feel like they could have gone bigger. I think what they're banking on is that we'll be in it, and if we're close to the playoffs, Burrow will come back and just be Joe Burrow. But that's asking a lot in that late in the season.
Yeah,
when they could be totally out of it. If they are out of the playoffs by then, there is no way that Joe Burrow should see the field, in my opinion. Because what are you risking? If you're already eliminated, he shouldn't see the field. Shut him down until next year. I know that sucks for the fans, but man, that guy's hurt a lot. So keep him. Keep him on the field.
I wish they could keep him upright, man. I just feel like I'd hate to see his career waste away on injury seasons because they can't figure out how to protect him or whatever it is.
I hope so. But leading that division right now is the Steelers. They're 4-2. Aaron Rodgers looks fine.
Pretty good.
I don't know if I trust that late in the season, but that's just me.
Yeah.
This team, again, feels like a 10-7 team that loses in the first weekend. Like, that's a Mike Tomlin special.
Well, weirdly enough, the thing that worries me about Pittsburgh is their defense.
Yeah, their defense is not great.
Not something you usually say about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't know, man. I don't know. They feel like an average team.
Yes.
And that's about all I can say about it.
That's perfect. And we also know that Aaron Rodgers has zero time for the tush push, as noted the other day on Thursday night. AFC West, before we get, this is the weirdest division. The Vegas Raiders are ass, just absolutely ass.
They're awful.
They're terrible. And now you've got Denver, who's 5-2, who should be 4-3, but also could be 7-0 because they lost to the Colts on that weird interference call on the one kick, right?
Yeah.
They lose to the Chargers on another last-second field goal. They should have lost to the Giants, come back, they're 5-2. There's first time 5-2 in a very long time. I'm not a Bo Nix believer. I know you're more in the camp of you kind of do believe in him. But then you've got the Chargers, who at 4-3, I don't trust them at all.
Not at all.
They look terrible. And I think that's because Joe Alt is out, so their offensive line is completely
I can see that.
in shambles now. And
they do have injuries. That's part of their
They do.
problem. Yep.
And the Chiefs are sitting there at 4-3, a team that I said if they can survive until they get their guys back. They're going to be dangerous. And Mahomes goes out there and has a vintage performance against the Raiders, but still, that team to me is the favorite to win the division because they're the Chiefs and you have to give them the nod. But
sorry, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is that good of a quarterback that they have enough, and they've got Andy Reid, and I just don't think you can bet against them in that division. As much as I'd love to not see them win, not because I don't like the Chiefs, but I'd like to see something different. But man, I think it's going to be really hard. Denver's got work cut out for it.
They do. I still contend that you and I would get 40 targets if we played for the Chiefs right now, just because that's what Mahomes does. He gets guys the ball.
Yeah.
And that's a division to watch. I feel like the Chiefs are going to be dangerous come January, as they always are. They do whatever they have to do to win. They had some injuries. Things look like it took some time. But I don't trust any of these other teams in the AFC West. Right. And I think that the Broncos are on a good trajectory, but I don't trust them.
And I would say this too, like as much as I love, you get Rashee Rice back and it looked great this weekend. I mean, it was the Raiders. And the Raiders, honestly, I was thinking to myself earlier, I was like, did the Raiders get relegated to the XFL? I don't know. Are they in the NFL still? Because I haven't seen much of anything from them.
Speaking of bad planning, hiring a 73-year-old head coach when you don't have the bones of a championship winning team is just a strange move for me. Like, that's no shade on Pete Carroll at all.
Yeah,
but
it's just weird.
The Raiders are acting like they're in win now mode. And what about them screams win now? Not a thing.
Nothing.
Not a thing.
Geno Smith?
No.
Aiden O'Connell?
It's not all Geno's fault.
No. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't. It's great. Geno's fine.
Geno's fine.
But he's not like the guy you're like, well, we got Geno Smith, so we'll make it work. You're like, oh, hopefully we've got everything else together and Geno can be good.
Well, what about last year? They draft Brock Bowers in the first round, which I get that he was great, but that's not the kind of move that franchises who aren't in win now do. Yeah. That's the kind of move that the Patriots would have done in the height of their powers.
Right.
Because as Dave says, it's a luxury move to take that.
Yeah.
They take Ashton Genty this year, again, another win now move kind of, and 6 carries, 21 yards against the Chiefs. That's just great.
I mean, the league has gone back towards running, so I don't really blame them for taking a what is supposed to be a generational runner. But if you don't have the team in place that can block for him, you're wasting his life. And that's unfortunate.
Yes. Let's move on to the NFC East. This is your division. So Eagles are in first place. The vibes are better this week, but overall, the Eagles feel unsteady.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. I think they're
Nick Sirianni effect.
They're clearly the best team in the NFC East.
Yes. That's not saying a lot, though.
It's not, and that's the thing. It's kind of like, but they also won the Super Bowl last year, and they haven't had that much personnel changeover.
They haven't, but I think that the personnel that they have is volatile together. It's a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And so I feel like their window was last year. They got the job done, and that's it, right? So you win a Super Bowl, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But if you go down this division, the Eagles, weird. The Cowboys are the Air Force of the NFL.
They are.
Because they have Dak looks great.
It's fantastic.
Their defense sucks.
Their offense is amazing.
Yes.
Their defense is awful.
So bad.
It's so bad that I think I look at this and I go, okay, Eberflus has got this defense. He likes to play a defense that's predicated on zone coverage and not a lot of blitzing. The personnel he has on that defense is not good enough to play that defense.
No.
And it's just, and when he does it, they get their ass kicked. And it's awful.
Because as you know, though, a bad secondary is helped by a good pass rush. They have neither.
They have neither, though. That's the problem. And vice versa. A good secondary
helps lack of a pass rush. Right.
Of a pass rush. They have neither. And it's one of those teams where it's like, wow, this is a phenomenal year where I could see a Dallas Cowboys offense that is absolutely outstanding, even with injuries and coming back from injuries. They've lost. They still haven't had all 5 linemen playing together, I don't think, this year. They could be the number 1 offense in the NFL, and this team will maybe win 9 games if they're lucky.
Well, it's funny. I feel like they're going to go 8-8-1 because they have that tie. So they're going to be decidedly right in the middle, which is like the worst place you can be.
Yeah.
Which is where they are.
That's where they're going to end up.
But the Commanders, I'm not surprised. I know they've had some injuries. Obviously, McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, they were down 3 wide receivers this week.
Yeah.
But last year, they won 11 games, I think, and made it to the NFC Championship game. Was a great run with a rookie quarterback. But a lot of the metrics about them, 1-score games, a lot of fortunate bounces when it came to turnovers and things like this, those are not statistics that translate from year to year.
Yeah.
And so I thought they're going to come back down to being average, not because the team is worse, but because all of those intangible metrics that you can't bank on from year to year are going to even out, because I think that's how it works. Yeah. They were some stupid 7-1 in one-score games, which is great, but with a rookie quarterback now coming back a second time, I feel like that was fortunate for them. So I'm not as downtrodden on them and Jaden Daniels per se. They've had a lot of injuries, but I feel like this is kind of coming back to the mean a little bit. And I think next year will be a better indicator of where they are organizationally, where Jaden Daniels is organizationally, and all of that kind of stuff.
I worry with that team. Obviously, Jaden Daniels' health always worries me. I think that team is going to go with whether or not that quarterback is healthy or not.
Yes, of course. Which is
he is a small-bodied quarterback.
He is.
That doesn't always bode well. Not having the receivers hurts them.
Of course.
Because they're a different team if they had those weapons in place. It's hard to win without those receivers.
But that's what I'm saying is last year the lack of injuries,
perfect storm for them last year.
Right.
Agreed. I think their defense is and that's my other thing with them is that's why I think without that quarterback being healthy and all those injuries are going to hurt them, because I don't think their defense is that great. They don't have a great pass rush at all. Mm-hmm. Their best pass rusher is Dorrance Armstrong, who didn't play this week because he's hurt.
Yep.
And Dorrance Armstrong was a perennial backup at Dallas for 7 years. And I'm not saying that, maybe Dallas is just terrible. They didn't realize what they had. No. He's just good. He's not great. And that's their best pass rusher. And
the NFL's a meritocracy, folks.
It is. And so I look at that and I go, oof, it's just going to be tough sledding for Washington this year, because of those kind of things that are not really rolling their way. But I think they have the potential. Jaden Daniels is going to be a great quarterback this league if he can stay healthy.
But that's what I'm saying is I think people are trying to make this year some type of an indictment or a referendum on Jaden Daniels. And I think it's just a referendum. This is what happens in the NFL.
Yep.
Injuries happen. I mean, how many years did the Cowboys under Dak Prescott have such high highs, and then Dak had that awful injury in 2020?
Right.
And you're like, it's what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, now you hire Eberflus as your defensive coordinator.
I don't love it.
Not the move I would have done, but I'm not making those decisions. I mean, Matt Eberflus made the Bears look really good.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give him credit. And maybe it's because Washington didn't have any receivers this week. But he did play. That's because he went from playing 90% zone to about 50% zone and 47% man. Mm-hmm. I think maybe some of the talent on Dallas's defense is probably better suited for man, but maybe I don't know if he did that because he realized his zone wasn't working, or if he was just more likely to do it because he's like, well, Washington doesn't have any real receivers this week, so I can get away with it. I don't know what the answer is going to be for Dallas' defense. I'm not convinced they're any good. I don't think Dallas has a shot in hell at this division. I think it's going to be the Eagles to have, but I don't think the Eagles can pull a deep run in the playoffs.
Speaking of teams I'm not convinced are any good, the New York Giants, who with Jackson Dart's looked okay. I think he's looked pretty serviceable. Cam Scatabo is going to have CT very shortly, so that will be on there.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be fun to watch until he stops playing football, which may be shorter than most running backs' careers.
Yes. He's going to have a hell of a lot of fun doing it, though. I'll tell you that. He and Jackson Dart are almost perfect for each other.
Yeah.
And if they're, I hate to say it this way, but I feel like, I think a lot of white people are excited in New York to have these two guys out here, because I'm telling you, they're fun. They are perfect for New York.
It's very frat bro like.
It is.
Bros.
It is, but it's
football.
I think it works for New York. I don't think it would work if they played in Jacksonville. It would not hit as hard.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I think in New York it works. But my point is,
it's crazy.
Jackson Dart is a rookie. He was drafted in the 20s. The expectations are low. He's looked okay. He's obviously here's the thing, vibe check. It's better to lose with the new guy than it is Russ. That's just how it is. Russ is Russ at this point. And I feel like if you're a vet on that team, you're thinking, man, I'd rather be losing with the new guy to see what we got rather than we know that. And I feel like that's what happened. And that's why Russ isn't playing. I personally didn't understand why they signed him at all when they could have had Jameis out there doing literally the same thing. And again, much better vibes. Everybody likes Jameis Winston.
That's kind of the difference is, I think Russ's personality for a team that's losing doesn't work.
No.
Unfortunately.
No. No, it's not fun.
Yeah, Jameis and Jackson Dart feel like they have a very similar personality,
Yes.
and actually they probably have a pretty similar talent level right now too.
I agree.
That's not a knock
Much
on
more
either
fun.
one of them, by the way. That's just kind of where I think they're at. I think Jackson Dart has a longer upside available to him probably going forward. So New York fans are probably excited that there is a future possibly
Sure.
for a real success there.
I think that's why you make the change. NFC North, Packers, I don't understand the Packers whatsoever. I don't know which team is going to show up every week.
It's weird.
I don't think Parsons is healthy. I don't think he's really been healthy since they got him. He's had he had an epidural, Mike. The only people I know who get epidurals are pregnant women who are going through extreme amount of pain. So the fact that an NFL player got one, and I've never heard of it before, which doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
It's unusual. And then Jordan Love is kind of like, okay, so this is an interesting conversation because Jordan Love, I feel like, is the perfect representative of some guy that we have said is a franchise guy that we're misusing the term.
Yeah.
Only because the highs are franchise, but boy, the lows are bad. And that's not franchise.
No, that's true.
Your floor is much higher with a franchise guy. But I think what's happened in the NFL is teams that are starving for a quarterback, we say they're looking for a franchise quarterback. And when you find a starting quarterback, it means you find a franchise quarterback. Franchise quarterback is, we're set for a decade.
Yeah. Well, he's getting the benefit of winning the playoff games last year.
He does.
And so, but at the same time, you're right. I'm the same way with Green Bay. I don't know.
I don't like that because I feel like they're supposed to be good. And then their defense looks horrible against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys' offense is good.
Right.
So what can you glean from that? Not as much as you thought, right? And their offense looked great, but against the Make-A-Wish Foundation Cowboy defense. So, okay, fine, they should. So that game tells you nothing.
Right.
And they tied, which was like, damn it, that tells me even less.
That tells you even less.
And like, God damn it. Whereas I almost said the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Lions, though, they just get the win over the Bucs, and they looked bad against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But I love this team.
I do too.
Because I love Dan Campbell and I love Jared Goff and I love what they do. And one thing I've noticed, Mike, we all thought Ben Johnson was the smart guy, but they're doing razzle dazzle without him. And it makes me wonder, is that Dan Campbell?
I don't know. Here's my thing. But I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think Dan Campbell has a lot to do with it because I think Dan Campbell sets the tone for that.
Yeah,
for that franchise.
Please, for sure.
And I will say this: now. There's parts of Dan Campbell I don't like, and part of that was I told you this last year.
Over analytics,
right? Not forgetting that the feel of your football team, forgetting that you have a good football team. And that's why I like the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions
took that lane. Everybody else took the he used analytics. You're like, he forgot that he has a good football team,
right?
And they did the Jameson the receiver who threw the pass in the playoff game, and it's like, you don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that. You have a talented football team. That's what I love about Detroit Lions. They are talented top to bottom. They're a fantastic football team.
Offensive line's great. Defense is great.
Correct.
They have weapons.
Execute superbly.
Perfect quarterback for what they're doing.
Their coach has got their motivation right where it needs to be. They're a fantastically good football team. They had a bad game against the Chiefs. That's one of those NFL parody games you talk about, where sometimes you go out and you have a shitty game. Pardon my language.
Yes.
We're allowed
to. And then the fight after the game, which is not helpful.
Not great, right?
But he did the right thing at the press conference. He's like, that's unequivocally not our team.
Yep.
We're not doing that.
And so I look at that and I go, that happens. Those losses happen. Chiefs were kind of on the middling, and they come out and
they're on the upswing.
They bit, but at that point they were middling. I think the upswing is happening partly because they beat the Lions.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
But then the Lions, I think, are a fantastic football team. And I think that's the biggest thing for Dan Campbell is he's got the feeling of that team. I think he's got to not forget he's got a talented football team and play like you're a talented football team. And don't make unnecessary risks when you don't need to make unnecessary risks. I'm not saying be conservative, but don't do the unnecessary stuff that's cost you. I think they should have already probably been in a Super Bowl. I think he made some poor decisions when he didn't realize how good that football team was earlier.
I mean, they have a point differential of plus 64, which is second in the league, which is pretty damn good. The next team is the Bears, who are 4-2. Their point differential is -3. So
I don't believe in the Bears.
I don't believe in the Bears either. I do think Caleb Williams is making strides, though.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're hopeful for.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, I feel like, fell in the trap of Trevor Lawrence. Can't miss. And when you put a guy as can't miss, I think people assume that he's going to come in and just automatically change things. And no matter who your rookie is, that's an unrealistic expectation. These are rookie quarterbacks. And even the best guys in their rookie year, Peyton Manning threw 20-plus interceptions in his first season. He seemed to be fine as he picked up some steam, right? So Caleb Williams now has a head coach, Ben Johnson, who I think is more capable than Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Because I think offensively, that's an interesting discussion as to defensive-minded versus offensive-minded coaches in this league. If you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams, you would theoretically want a more offensive-minded approach.
Yeah.
Because Matt Eberflus, we already did that, so we don't need another defensive guy in here.
Yep.
And I think you're seeing some of the benefits.
Yeah.
Are they going to be in the mix late in the season? Not sure about that because it's a long season. They have to play the Lions. They have to play the Packers. So unlikely, but I think they're better, and I think Caleb Williams is better.
They're a better team than they were last year.
Yes.
I don't think they have a chance in this division, unfortunately. I don't either. I think it's they got the Lions, and even though we're not sure on the Packers, I feel confident. I think the Packers are better than the Bears. And so I think it's going to be tough for the Bears to make the playoffs this year just because of the division they're in. If they were in the NFC East, they got a shot.
AFC South, but that's a runnable.
Yeah, exactly.
NFC South, though, I think they would have a shot. But before we get there, Vikings. So J.J. McCarthy, I want to ask you about that because I think, coming into his rookie season last year, people were skeptical about him because in college, he didn't have to put the team on his back passing the way that he will have to in the NFL. It's not that he passed less, because if you look at the metrics, he passed just as much as any other big-time quarterback on a big-time team that year. Yeah. It's just in the NFL, it's a little bit different. If you don't have a running game, which Michigan decidedly had that year, they won the national championship. Their rushing attack was excellent. Their offensive line was excellent. They don't have that in Minnesota the way that they did at Michigan.
Right.
He took an entire year off from an injury, bringing him in, and he looked terrible for a while. And I'm like, that's not surprising. No. First start. It's not surprising at all.
He's essentially a rookie this year.
He is a rookie. And they're 3-3 because Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz. He's been around for a long time. He had the Carson Wentz game that he's going to have at some point because that's why he's not starting. But I feel like the Vikings last year, that was an aberration. Sam Darnold, 14-3.
Yeah.
That's an aberration for them. That they actually would have almost been better off being bad last year, so they could have had a high draft pick.
Yeah,
continue to retool behind this new guy.
Right. Yep.
So last year was fun for them, but almost a detriment to the plan with J.J. McCarthy. This is year 0 now for them. And so I don't expect anything out of them at all. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to take some time, but people want to decide, is he good or not? And I'm like, we don't know. How do we know?
Too early to tell.
Too early.
Yeah.
Somebody who it's not too early on, Baker Mayfield.
I love Baker Mayfield.
But so Baker Mayfield, would you contend that he was a journeyman prior to his stint with the Bucs? What does it take to be a journeyman quarterback for you?
I don't think so.
He was on like 3 teams an entire year.
But it was really weird though, right? It was like one of those things where so he was the first round draft pick at Cleveland. Mm-hmm. He left Cleveland because Cleveland's stupid. So you can't blame him for that one. And then it was kind of what do we do with this guy type thing, right? He ends up at Carolina.
He's in Carolina. Then he goes to the Rams.
But the Rams was like an emergency thing because they just didn't have any quarterbacks.
And they didn't need him.
And they didn't really need him, so that's why he moves again. And so, I don't think he was a journeyman comeback. I think he's a talented quarterback he's
a talented starting quarterback.
Yeah, who got a weird roll of luck in the middle there. And I think the most impressive thing is the fact he came back from it. And he's
throwing to guys I've never heard of.
And that's the thing. Right now, he's playing with nobody.
They got their ass handed to them last night.
It was not great. Yeah, but it was competitive for a short amount of time.
It was,
and then it kind of fell apart.
But I think the Bucs are one of those teams that they're good but not great.
Yeah,
and I feel like they went up against a great team and lost, and I feel like that's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Carolina's 4-3. Bryce Young is not an NFL quarterback. This is completely a fluke, and they're going to be looking for a quarterback. Just my opinion. I don't think Bryce Young. He's too short. Too small. I don't like what I see out of them. Even if they're winning, it doesn't matter because you have to have a guy who you believe in. I don't believe in them. What about Michael Penix, though? Because the Falcons have been like way up and down.
Yeah, I think he's a young quarterback. I think he's still got – I think that it's too early to call it for the Falcons with Penix. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's a good quarterback.
Again, like the Bo Nix on the older side. But I think, again, he's got a lot – it's just – it's inconsistent, which is what you expect. Yeah. But Bijan looks great.
Yeah.
He's so fun to watch.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with Atlanta, though. I don't know.
It's Atlanta. It's a franchise you don't trust. Sorry,
exactly. Yeah,
but
seriously.
Unfortunately, it is what it is. Now, New Orleans, Spencer Rattler, I think, is I honestly, like, people say how terrible he is, but I feel like under the circumstances, he's playing hard.
He's not terrible. He's just not
good.
Really a starting quarterback.
Oh, he's being asked to do it's an untenable position.
I mean, I don't know what New Orleans' plan is. It just feels
Kellen
like
Moore better get a quarterback.
I'm assuming this is just a phone it in year for them to build talent, because I don't know.
It's not great.
I don't know.
I think this is Tampa's division to lose. I don't really feel like the other teams should have a leg up on them, because I think they have the best quarterback, and if guys are healthy, although Mike Evans is out for the season, I think now.
Yeah, that's
broken clavicle. That really sucks. But again, Ibuka has looked great. If he can stay in the field, I think they're in good shape. Last division is the NFC West. The taped together 49ers are 5-2 with Mac Jones, who we all knew was going to be great. Sam Darnold, he was a journeyman.
Yes.
And he's good.
He's good.
I think.
Yeah, he's good.
Do we believe in that, though?
I mean, is he good enough?
It's just strange, though, because I've been down this road with Sam Darnold where I've seen him do this last year, and then he literally turned into a pumpkin 2 games in a row against the Lions and then the Rams, and you're like, I want to believe in it.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba is great. Kind of the same as Emeka Ibuka has been for Baker.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're 5-2, so you are what your record says you are.
Yeah.
Rams are 5-2, but they are 1 hit away from Matt Stafford being out, and Puka Nacua is out because he plays Cam Scatabo type football.
Yeah.
Not the same way. No way. But the Rams, I feel like, are good if everybody stays healthy, because they have the Jedi quarterback. Like, Matt Stafford is going to win you football games because he's seen everything.
And you got a head coach, offensive coordinator who's fantastic. And so, they're always a threat. So that division, like you said,
except for the Cardinals,
is a it could be either of those 3. It could end up at the end.
Question about the Cardinals: if Kyler Murray goes to another team, does that team get better? Where are you on Kyler now? Because we're not in experiment territory with him anymore.
Yeah.
He's had a lot, and I mean, I feel like he's a Jordan Love type. The highs can be really high, but the floor feels like it can be really low, and it's just it's been a strange experiment there, in my opinion, with him.
Yeah, I just don't know.
You've never been a fan.
He's too small.
I know you're a big size guy.
I am. When it comes to NFL quarterbacks, you got to be big enough to see over the line, man. There's guys are 6'7" on the offensive line. You got to be able to see down the field.
Is that heightest of you?
It is. I'm not a big guy. I'm not. So it's not like because I'm a tall guy. I don't like short guys.
Your dad told me that it takes pure will and hard work to succeed in football. And when we brought up, well, what about Mike? Well, he's too short. And we're like, well, what the hell is that? Because we were saying about how it's genetics, and he's like, no, it's not. It's hard work. Genetics has something to do with it.
It's a little bit of both. I think he's super quick, and he's got a lot of talent, arm talent. I think I said like probably 2 years ago he should have played baseball. Knowing that he was drafted in baseball as well.
Well,
or he could have been drafted in baseball.
That's a fascinating discussion to have, because baseball is the safer bet if you're talking about injuries and other types of things. But you have to start so low.
Yeah,
that's what makes baseball so unique and almost like a gamble. Because if you get drafted, you start in the minor leagues. Like we were watching some show recently, and there's a high school kid who was like, I could get drafted by the Braves, and I just said out of the side of my mouth and make $30,000 a year, because you're going to be somewhere in single A, traveling, not on per diem, living on couches, making like $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And like not every person gets to the majors as quickly as Bryce Harper did.
Yeah.
So
Paul Skeens.
It's right. And so it's a gamble to play baseball because of that fact. But like football, he's already made the generational money. He's good to go. It's more of a football thing. But so we've looked at the whole league very, very quickly. I want to ask you though, like if you had to take a guess right now, like who would you say is the best team in the league? Is there one?
I think it's the Detroit Lions. I
agree.
I think that's who it is. And I'm not even I know they've had a couple of weird games.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you played the Detroit Lions and the Chiefs, if you played that game
in a neutral site,
I think the Lions would win 7 of them.
Because they won't have to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead again.
No.
They won't have to play them again until they get to the Super Bowl, if they get to the Super Bowl, and that'll be at a neutral site, which indoors favors the Lions in the sense that I think that the Lions skill position players with the scheme that they run are better right now than the Chiefs skill position players.
Yeah.
But the thing that they have that I think evens this out is I think that if you compare Andy Reid and Dan Campbell, in terms of schematics And Andy Reid is not going to do something stupid and panic.
Correct.
And that, I think, is what gives the Chiefs a leg up over everybody, because
and
they have
Mahomes being better than
Goff. Sure. Yeah. Well,
so
that's
that
when I mentioned the Chiefs, you just assume that Mahomes is going to do Mahomesian things.
Right.
But I feel like it's just too early right now. And in sports media, everybody wants to like anoint somebody. And it's like, folks, this shit takes a while.
You don't know.
You don't
I would say based on right now, though, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL. The question is just, can they make it to the Super Bowl? It's really hard to win, because once you get to the playoffs, they're going to get to the playoffs.
Everybody's
and
good,
then it's basically a new season.
Yeah, it is.
And it starts over, and we'll see where they go from there.
Yes, and we'll see too. So this was a little bonus recording for Mike to come up here. It's been a minute since he's done that. And normally Brad and I talk a lot of college, because I like watching college a lot. I think from a content perspective, it can be a little bit more entertaining, because there's a lot more teams to talk about. The storylines end up being a little bit juicier. These are professionals. They're supposed to be good.
Right.
And there are juicy storylines every now and again, but I think this is a little bit more fun.
College kids are kind of professionals now, right?
Yes, we don't have time for that. I mean, we could definitely get into that, but with the amount of money that they're getting paid, the coaches are getting paid, like,
sure.
Indiana Hoosiers head coach is now making $12 million a year. This is a whole new frontier in college football and amateur football. Not even amateur football. It's like semi-pro football now. Yeah. But anyway, I'm happy to have you up here, folks. You can always follow us everywhere, INC Sports, all that stuff. Don't forget, every Thursday night during the football season, we are live. From me and Mike, we've had a great time, and we will see you next time.